The devil always screws up in this way. That rage, that envy, that resentment comes with irrationality and bad decision making. So
Sure, if he had known, he would not have crucified.
yeah, okay, he
Lord
had
of
the
glory.
Son of God.
Yep.
But before that, he had death. And the fact
Oh,
is,
yeah.
death has been beaten and the resurrection is real.
That's
The
why
gospel of
Charlie
Christ
Kirk is alive now. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
So-
he's not down.
Those people who become truly devilish, unfortunately for them, it comes with a level of self-destructive irrationality that cannot win.
Met a ghost of a king on the road when I first fell. Fire burning to my knees I fell. Met a ghost of a king on the road.
Here we
Yeah.
are. Welcome
SASF.
to SASF. We're getting close to 200, but not quite there yet.
Okay.
And I wanted to pick your brain on Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Well, that was a slightly momentous occurrence.
Yeah, we've given it a week.
Yeah,
I think.
there's a few really notable things about it. Like one, I've enjoyed watching the power of life well lived, faithfulness, and then martyrdom.
Mm-hmm.
So the power of martyrdom is very, very real and cannot be underestimated.
Yeah.
When it's
you-
authentic, there are plenty of people who play the martyr and they love to play, act persecuted, and they're not. But to be fearless and to be unafraid and to be looking your enemies in the eye and exchanging ideas when they want to kill you, and to do it fearlessly until they do kill you is an incredible statement there.
In the tradition of Stephen and all the way on. Of
Yeah, I think there's some like high level perspective, some low level perspective. Like there's a lot of different angles to look at it. But one of the things that's notable is it's been 50 years, more than half a century since the last public political assassination in this country. It is notable that the guy who was assassinated, obviously Trump has had attempts, but the guy who was assassinated was, if we want to trivialize it, an influencer.
Yeah.
But where did his influence come from?
He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a religious leader.
Yeah, not a minister, although he absolutely was an evangelist.
Right.
He was not an office holder. He was not a military leader. He was not a president, a vice president, a senator, a governor, an attorney general. Any of the things that could really make you enemies in that way. He was an ideological enemy. And he was incredibly effective. So his efficacy, I'm not saying it's not crazy that they targeted him based on their worldview, their opinions. It is absolutely crazy that they targeted him, but it's not crazy that they saw him as a
threat,
as a real threat to their existence, because he was.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting that in this time, his threat came via many, many conversations that he had on camera that spread all over the world. And it was just conversations.
On college campuses.
Yep.
Not even, they weren't renting out auditoriums for him.
Yeah, he's open air conversations that were viewed millions and millions and millions of times and began to change a generation and helped swing an election.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah, he had a ton of influence, but he had a ton of influence from being faithful with the thing that was right in front of him, and being faithful with that in a sustained way over time, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and the harvest grew. And so there's a lot of people out there who are talking about live like Charlie. We got to be like Charlie. This has created 1,000 more Charlies, sure and true, but what did he live like? What was it that was imitatable? And that's the thing I think people will be more confused about. So yeah, he should be imitated, and I think a lot of people will try to imitate him. But what was the value there?
I think people tend to think it's propositional content. I've seen a lot of people saying, I believe the same things Charlie did, which is true. But again, lots of us believe the same things Charlie did.
What matters so much more than that is because J.D. Vance and Charlie don't agree on everything.
Right.
It's like J.D. Vance is Catholic, Charlie's Protestant. Charlie was highly intelligent. He knew why he was Protestant. He knew why he was not a Catholic. And J.D. Vance knows why he is a Catholic. And, but they're on the same team culturally. But there's a lot of differentiation there. The propositional truth is good. It's powerful. But the thing that was fantastic about Charlie and impactful about Charlie was that he understood Sun Tzu. He understood the art of war. He understood what he was doing. He was well read. He studied. He never stopped learning. He didn't have pat things that he would just throw out and have his little bumper stickers that never changed. He was always learning, and he in fact was in motion. And over the last decade, you could see his journey as he began to understand that it's not just economics, it's actually faith. It's the spiritual. There's the spiritual
there's
level.
Maturity there that you can see.
So he was always learning. He himself was studying, learning, and trying to become more intelligent, more learned, more wise. And so he never stopped learning. He was extremely agile, and then he understood the power of concentration. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting really good at it and just continuing to do that same thing, in the end, swung an election. And how many campus evangelists are there? How many people are there who've gone and done open air preaching and done evangelism? Many, many people. He was doing something that a lot of people have access to. Do you have access to a card table and a campus? That's how he started.
Right.
Like a card table and a campus. And then he did it again and again and again. And it's like hitting a wall in the same exact spot or hitting a gate, with a battering ram in the exact spot. Eventually, if you don't get distracted and if you don't start wandering off and hitting other things, if you keep hitting that thing over and over and over again, you're gonna break through. You're gonna have
you'll be in the castle.
Yeah, you're gonna go through that wall, and you're gonna be really, really dangerous. And he didn't walk away from that. And the thing that was so potent was his intelligence, his agility, but his willingness to look in his opponent's eyeballs like a man and disagree with them directly, and honestly, without loathing and without fear. That he did not. Yep. He did not hate his enemy. He did not despise his enemy, and he was not afraid of his enemy. He was able to look in their eyes and tell them why they were wrong.
And also, for all he gets accused of using cheap rhetorical tricks, it felt like a real conversation with everyone. Not necessarily everyone, but it felt like he was actually listening to what they were saying. It wasn't a moment to say facts don't care about your feelings. It was instead, let's talk about, this particular thing.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you are playing speed chess the way he was, with a ton of people, every single chess match does not have to be of a world-class level because you're not up against world-class opponents.
Right.
You're playing speed chess against all comers. And so when he's playing speed chess against all comers like that, you can expect some of the matches to be really, really impressive and some of them to be just simple.
Right.
And quickly dismissed and move on. I think I've told the story before. My dad taking me out to the property with a rake and making me rake rocks for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, what on earth are we doing? And he said, well, God gave me rocks and God gave me a rake. So we're raking rocks, and we're going to be faithful with this rake and these rocks until God gives us a backhoe, gives us more. And that's what Charlie did. So he didn't have a lot. He didn't get into West Point. His personal ambitions were not being fulfilled. So he had a card table. He had a quick intellect. He had a desire to have conversations. He had access to a campus.
Yeah.
He took his rake and he went out and he raked the rocks. And he did it again and again and again.
And then turned into the largest political action committee. Well,
yeah, and people are discovering now how much influence he had, how much power traditionally understood he had to broker the relationship between RFK Jr. and Trump, to do the things that he did that affected the election, to register all these voters, to swing Gen Z males like young men have never been swung before. All that influence, all that power came from raking the rocks.
Yeah.
And so the thing that's interesting here is that when people want to be powerful, when they want to be influential, and they start playing the influence game, I got to meet a guy, I got to schmooze, I got to network and climb and do all this kind of stuff. They're misunderstanding. They're just misunderstanding how the world works. And yeah, you could go slime your way up and meet some people, but he was excellent in his work, will stand before kings. And you also can just go rake the rocks and you can become excellent with it and go and go and go and go and expect to find your way up into those conversations in those rooms where people respect you for what you do. They respect your tenacity, your courage, and they listen to you. And yeah, so he had influence, but he had influence going through a doorway that no one was guarding. Anybody could have walked through that doorway. Could anybody else at the same time, 13 years ago, gone onto campuses with a card table and had conversations? Yes. Like that was just an unguarded doorway. And where did it lead? It led to swinging a presidential election. That was a very significant one in this generation. It led to the hundreds of thousands of students who were influenced by him. Countless thousands of young men who were mentored by him like an older brother, like he was their friend or older brother who was a masculine example they could look to and imitate.
Yeah.
And it was just an unguarded thing. Anybody could do that. He tried to get into West Point. That was guarded. They said no.
Yeah.
And he ended up with way more influence than he would have had if he'd just gone through an army career as an officer.
Yeah, we were just talking about the increase post. Maybe we flip it to talk about the villains a little bit. The increase post death.
Yeah,
like what does that work to kill somebody?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. When death has been defeated, it doesn't. So there's times you could think, yep, pre-resurrection, before the cross, before Easter, you could say, I just need to make this guy stop. I just need to turn him off for good. But the contagion that he has, the gospel of Christ, the truth he had made him unafraid to die. It powered his widow. She spoke really, really powerfully.
Yep.
And death, that fearlessness in the face of death is hugely contagious. The commitment that it takes to be willing to risk your life to try to share the truth with people and then to lose your life doing that shows a proof of concept, a proof of your conviction and a proof of your faith way beyond anything else.
Winning an argument. Yeah.
So it's not an accident that God, since the first century, has used the persecution of his church to spread his church.
Yeah, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.
Yeah, it's always been persecution. It's always been hardship that evidences the purity of the faith, the reality of the faith, the conviction behind the faith that just impacts people. Stephen impacting people, and so on. So on and on and on and on. People like Paul, pre-conversion, thought, man, we got to kill this guy because I can't win the argument. I got to just kill him, which is what Charlie just experienced. He's very much a Stephen who went out and argued and took all comers and ended up martyred for that. So he is in that vein of martyrdom, like in that particular vein, which Paul also, ended up as well. So
he almost got martyred many, many, many times.
Yeah, people
in that
tried.
Exact way,
and then eventually got pulled in and killed by the actual authorities for being such a problem.
Yeah.
So Stephen, who hadn't been trained, didn't have the pedigree, didn't have the academic training or anything else, was smoking the highly trained people.
Right.
And that's what caused Paul to lose his mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because he was smoking them on history of Israel.
Yeah, on Israel, the
people,
law,
national, it's interesting. The kind of things he was arguing about.
So Stephen was sitting behind a table with a banner above him saying, "Prove me wrong," without any degrees, without any training, just with the Spirit, and that was infuriating.
Right.
And Charlie was doing the exact same thing. No degrees, didn't get the bona fides, didn't have that. But was smoking people on these college campuses. Now, admittedly, he wasn't going up against the best because they were too good for that kind of thing. So, he wasn't sitting across from Christopher Hitchens or the philosophy professors often, but there were more and less intelligent people who were coming to try to tussle with him. And he was playing this speed chess against all comers from a position of a student of the truth, a lover of the truth, who had pursued the truth apart from formal training. And so he really is an echo of St. Stephen. And his testimony is profound, is really, really powerful right now because it's the absolute gold standard of conviction, of the reality of his faith.
Right.
And so I've seen a number of people, one guy in particular, I was reading his description of what he was going through personally post Charlie Kirk. This was a guy who didn't have respect for him, knew about him, dismissed him as just kind of a MAGA shill, didn't know anything. Then post his martyrdom, he started reading everything and watching everything that came through his feed, just kind of out of respect, just, to know the guy who was
died.
Gone.
Yeah, right.
And he said the weirdest thing for him was the overwhelming emotion for him was jealousy.
Oh, wow.
And he's sitting here looking at his relationship with his family, looking at the courage of his convictions, looking at his joy, looking at his purpose. And he was just jealous. And he was just jealous of the murder victim. How does that work?
Right.
Because the murder victim was powerful, was joyful, was fulfilled, knew what he was here for, and happy, didn't have a hole in his soul. And I think that's exactly what Paul had with Stephen. I think just this jealousy.
Because Paul had been working his whole life, studying with the best teachers,
super smart,
following the law down to every single last bit.
Yeah, and here's this guy
trying to get control
with 0 certificates.
Yeah,
just winning because he has the spirit.
Yeah.
And I think there was this jealousy, and I think that jealousy is powerful. And it's good. That's part of the truth. When somebody who's alive and breathing can be jealous of the one who's now in his blood, dead, then you see the veracity, the truth of what that man held. So I think that his testimony is profound. Obviously, he wasn't out there trying to get killed. He was out there trying to change the world. And so he had to be killed. But basically, I think the power of that lived story, the power of that lived chapter of his story, that he was the guy who was on campuses looking in people's eyeballs, having the conversations over and over and over again. Incredibly patient, actually quite kind. People don't think so because they've seen little snippets, but very, very kind, in fact. A loving father, husband, who is overwhelmingly cheerful. You're not going to go find clips of Charlie on campuses just in a foul mood, just not feeling it. He's genuinely joyful, and he's there to have these interactions. And he's kind towards the people he's facing. And that's why he was killed. And the reason why he was shot was to try to turn off his influence, which was potent. He'd already risen to a place where his influence was great. And instead, it's like they plugged his influence into an amplifier. Yeah. And
what were the numbers? 3,300 chapters in high school and college before his death. 3,500.
So Turning Point USA had 3,500 chapters.
High school and college.
900 in colleges.
Yeah.
And I think that's the number, 900
I think flipped the other way around, but yeah.
But it was either way, the 3,500 total chapters, high school and college. And then now they just had 37,000 requests,
new chapter applications.
It's okay, this is...
So then the Bible talks about a seed going in the ground and getting 10, 20, 30 fold. That's the fold increase that we're talking. Yeah.
It's enormous and it's amazing. So anyway, there also, I think there's part of the power that's happened via this is because Charlie got killed for multiple motivators of hate. So he's a Christian preaching the gospel. He was a conservative politically.
Aligned with Trump.
With Trump. Aligned with the administration. And he was a man behaving in a masculine way. And I think that there's significant impact there that people don't understand why so many young men feel this in their bones. Even young men who are not conservative Christians but who saw Charlie Kirk, because what Charlie Kirk was doing and how he was behaving is he was behaving like a man. So he was under control. He was self-possessed. Like, he was not just following his emotions and his passions. He was disciplined. He was disciplined in thought and in his emotions. And he was looking his enemies in their eyeballs, disagreeing with them without any kind of hemming or hawing, unapologetically disagreeing with them, and speaking the truth that was offensive, being willing to be offensive when you're speaking the truth, and not actually apologizing for it or backpedaling, without loathing and without fear. That he was not doing this like he was a nasty, angry guy. I can't stand you, so I'm going to say something that hurts you. He's going to say the thing, but he's going to say the thing because he doesn't care about your feelings, but neither does he care about his feelings. He had that kind of discipline, that kind of self-possession. And so when somebody who disagrees with him sees him being a man, at the very least, he is masculine. So he's sitting there and he's being a man under control, a man with a purpose, a man who's being honest, who is not being overly sensitive and overly empathetic, but is being kind, insulting, offensive, without having his emotions careening around. Like he's disciplined.
I mean, the fact that he was killed by somebody struggling with that exact thing.
Exactly. And
is
he's
pretty
being
dark.
masculine.
Yeah.
And all those guys out there who admire that, forget the content of what he's saying, who admire the way in which he was willing to do it, who had respect for at least the courage of being willing to look in people's eyes and say those things. All these guys who know that they wouldn't quite have that courage.
Yeah, they ask me anything with anybody on. Yeah.
And willing just to see the girl who's got the green hair and the septum ring, and to say the thing that you know is going to be offensive and that everybody's going to be outraged by, but you don't care whether 10,000 people are mad at you. You don't care whether millions.
Yeah, the demon goat guy stands in front of you. You know, those sort. You just have a many different battles.
So many battles, and the masculine way in which he approached it is very appealing. And so all these young men would like to have that strength, even if they don't agree with him. And to see him murdered, in part for that, is something that they share and that they admire. And it makes them take more seriously the other parts, the gospel, his conservatism. And he's been very, very effective, and even more so now. So I think that the tiers of why he was killed, the left and progressives have warred. They've absolutely warred on boys and men for a long time. Mm-hmm. And they've been, waging war on boys and men a long time. They've been trying to neuter an entire gender, like across the board. Now, when you do that, you have a bell curve, and you actually do neuter, literally, a big number of them on the end of the bell curve. The people who actually are going trans are looking to be castrated. They want their testicles removed, their testosterone gone. They have so much loathing for manhood that they're all the way over there doing that. And on this bell curve, you have a lot of people all over the place. And then you have somebody come along, and he is a man. He is a white man. He's a conservative white man who's preaching the gospel and who's directly defying that orthodoxy of our day, that progressive orthodoxy that condemns masculinity and manhood. And so the fringe of that bell curve, you have all the people in the middle and all these people who are like watching his reels, and they're like, ooh, wow, like, okay, he's probably right. I can't believe he said that. I would never be able to say that. They know they don't have the courage. Their testosterone is not quite, there, but they can see it. They can admire it. They're on the bell curve. And then you have those people who are just fully transgressive and against the whole thing, transgressive against that progressive orthodoxy. And he was one of those guys who was just sitting there saying the things, doing the things, and waging war against this. The fringe is the most furious. Like, they are the most furious. Everybody else on that bell curve, they all have different reactions. And I'm specifically talking about males. So how women respond to him is a different thing, but how men respond to him. They're all on this bell curve of our culture right now, where masculinity has been under attack for a very long time.
We've talked about that regularly, even just on the story side, but it's everywhere.
And so the trans group, the dudes are all the way consumed with this gospel, this false gospel, to the point where they are castrating themselves, and they are committing suicide of their gender, suicide of their sex. They are the most outraged, and not surprisingly, are the ones who wanted to see him dead the most in this case. So that defensive masculinity and the picture of masculinity that he was and the way he carried himself is, I think, a huge factor in why people lashed out at him. And the fact that he was out there raking the rocks on repeat, he never went away. He never took himself off the battlefield. He kept doing it over and over and over again. He kept coming back to the well.
Don't you think, too, a part of it is just that is the center of the rot right now that we're having? The university of just he's targeted the lymph node for the secular system.
Yep.
And was in the spot that's supposedly the holy shrine.
That's the reproduction center.
Yeah.
Because these people don't have, and this is also, this tragedy pictures this too, because those people are castrating themselves, murdering their own offspring, and everything else that they're doing, they are not reproducing themselves. The way in which those people reproduce themselves is by taking the children of the normies and grooming them and radicalizing them into
which is what happened with
radicals,
this guy.
which is exactly what happened here.
Online and in university.
Yep. And so a child of normies in Utah got pulled into Antifa trans furrydom. He got pulled all the way into weird. And that's how they reproduce. So yes, he was a child of normies, but he was also a janissary. He was an abducted child of normies who had been groomed and...
so you're referencing the Turks who would steal Christian kids and raise
them.
So
the Ottomans in the Ottoman expansion, they had their most extreme fighters, the ones who were at the front, who were the most radical. In order to be a member of the janissaries, you had to have been born a Christian, and they would abduct them as children and then raise them up in these military monastic environments, like absolutely brainwashing them and making them the most dangerous, most violent, most extreme of the Sultan's army. And so it was psychological too, because when they were attacking a Christian city, they wanted the defenders of the walls to see the first wave, like the vanguard coming, was entirely Christian children who had been stolen and turned against them. And so they wanted that as part of the whole thing. And this is the same kind of thing.
It sounds like this is like an organized cell as well. The thing, the more
networked and organized,
sounding like that's all over the U.S. and actively happening.
Yeah, more and more. And I hope they pull that thread and pull all of it out. But if you have a couple trans dudes, are they raising kids? Are they raising their kids? It's like, no, they can't. They've suicided that part of themselves. So they need your kids. They need somebody else's kids in order to do this with. And that is why the public school system is so essential to this whole progressive project. It's why evangelicals are such suckers for just sending their kids off to secular brainwashing for generations,
or homeschooling through high school and then sending them to just disappear in a secular institution,
or homeschooling them in such a way that they have no immune system. Correct, they're bubble children who are going to die of the common cold as soon as you get them out. Yeah. So they have never had any conflict. They've never pushed against the world. You over bubbled them, and then now they're just victims. As soon as they're out, they're going to get turned against you immediately. This is the way in which the fringe of that bell curve reproduces itself. They don't have and raise their own children. Mm-hmm. They really can't. They need yours.
I think Charlie's ungovernable approach, like to just set up the card table, that's, it's just how, it's very cool how guerrilla it was. It wasn't the long, slow method. It was just very much like, how can I hit as many people as possible in the most overt way as possible and let these kids. Also, I think the stakes are really low for the people who are arguing with him. Yeah. There's like the ability to talk to Charlie and then have your opinion changed, I would bet is higher than somebody who's in a classroom being taught.
But there's a guy who just was murdered sitting under a banner that said, "Prove me wrong." And the murder itself proved him right.
Right.
And everybody knows it. The guy who was actually arguing with him at the time of his murder was trying to convince him that the left is actually peaceful.
It was a question about trans violence, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then he was shot by.
Yep. And he was pushing on him. He's a father of two who was there pushing against Charlie. He's posted videos since then, just really upset. But he was trying to prove Charlie wrong. He was trying to prove that the left is overwhelmingly peaceful. And instead, while he was doing that, Charlie was proved right in the worst way he could possibly be proved right. And the left began to celebrate and dance on the grave.
Yeah, we got to move into that discussion next. What do you think about this has touched such a nerve? I mean, it's just like, why? Like, it just feels like our country has changed.
Well, martyrdom always touches a nerve.
Sure. So, okay. So first, a man being shot in the neck in public.
Think about MLK Jr. being,
yeah,
when he was martyred, and he was, martyred for his position, what he was doing. It was a massive impact.
Right.
It rocked people. So yeah, murder is impactful. Like It's going to touch people. People who see themselves in any capacity, who see themselves in the crosshairs. They see themselves there because they're a dad, because they're a man, because they want to be able to dialogue. They want to be able to disagree without it being a kill each other thing.
Right.
It impacts for that reason. It impacts because it proves it's the ultimate seal on the veracity and power of what Charlie was saying. It's the ultimate proof that his opponents had no answers and had to resort to just violence. There was nothing there. So it impacts because so many people connect to Charlie in different levels. So even if you're a liberal, classical liberal, ACLU, free speech, dialogue person who disagreed with every single thing Charlie said, he just got murdered for doing the thing that you think is super important to be able to do. It's like that's
right.
This is really, really impactful because in the Venn diagram of things Charlie Kirk was, every American is overlapping with him in some level, and he was shot and killed. And there's then a bunch of people, and they're loud, but they're a fringe, and they're mostly eating their own cooking, which I'm really grateful for, who were celebrating, trying to dance on the grave of Charlie Kirk, which is the worst thing they could possibly do. Not because it's gauche, but just if I'm gonna hop out emotionally and say I'm not going to even talk about whether it's right or wrong or moral or immoral, because it's wrong, it's evil, it's immoral, it's ghoulish behavior.
Yeah, it's devilish to the core.
Everything about it is bad. However, on top of that, it's also tactically moronic. So
I don't know why I'm laughing, but you're right.
We can hop out and just be like,
how could you? Yeah, if there's any way to push more people over to Charlie, it's
to dance on his grave
and to talk about how you're happy his kids don't have a dad,
or to talk about let's kill his kids, which I've seen people doing too. Why stop now? Let's kill his wife. Let's kill his kids.
Right.
Like take them all out. Like just that is like spreading the fire of Charlie Kirk's gospel even farther because it's so ghoulish, it's so ugly, it's so disgusting. So on a tactical level, it's nonsense. Now let's get even more sociopathic about it.
Okay, emotions are fully removed.
We're removing all emotions.
Tactically moronic. What else?
We're now going to go up and up and up and just look at the demographic of the United States and the current rules of engagement. Mm-hmm. The current rules of engagement is don't kill people with whom you disagree.
Right.
And a bunch of ghouls are all saying, we want to change those rules of engagement.
Yeah.
We want to change those rules of engagement to kill people. Now you can kill people with whom you disagree. Okay.
Wow. That's not a nation. That's not.
You really want that change? Now let's say, okay, that's what you want. Let's just say, okay, you want blood in the streets? Because like the guy who wrote the New York Times piece on political violence in fact said, yes, he does. He wants to kill all them beepers. We want their blood in the streets. He did. Yep. Just as overtly calling for the slaughter.
Mad.
The slaughter of conservatives.
I can't keep my emotions out of that.
Right. So let's just say, okay, the rules of engagement are changing. Yep. Now we don't talk. And Charlie talked about this specifically. It's like, this is why I'm doing this specifically to avoid civil war. Because when we stop talking, when we stop dialoguing like this, when we stop resolving things this way,
sure,
we can only fight each other. And he had a lot of conversations with people about physical violence, people who wanted to challenge him to a fight or whatever. He was always talking about, like, a 7-year-old, you want to go wrestle like a 7-year-old? This is civilization. Civilization is
this back and forth,
this exchange of ideas where we're going to fight, we're going to find the truth, and then we're going to embrace the truth. But if you want to change the rules of engagement, random feminist in Milwaukee, if you want to change the rules of engagement, trans dudes of Portland, to kill the people with whom you disagree, now look at the demographics of the U.S. and say, we're now moving away from the exchange of logic. We're no longer exchanging, opinions. We're no longer trying to find the truth. It's just brute force. Who do you think wins?
I think it's the people with the guns.
You want to have a shooting war?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah, that's insane.
Are you out of your mind? I mean, it's like, yes, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
First off, but this is what I mean. It's immoral. The people who are celebrating his death this way, they are evil. It's immoral, ghoulish, idiotic, self-destructive behavior. And so
it's just demonic to the core. Yeah. It's like, what would a devil want? He is to eat each other, murder each other.
But here's the thing. This is interesting because this is where and why the devil always loses. This is where my post-millennial optimism comes out. Because we're against...
I think most people are feeling pretty dark right now, so we could use a dose of...
The devil always screws up in this way. This is how he cannot help himself. And this is how he loses. Because that rage, that envy, that resentment comes with irrationality and bad decision-making. So...
Sure, if he had known, he would not have crucified.
Yeah, okay, he had the Son of God.
Yep.
But before that, he had death. Death, a curse on all men. Death, this enemy, this curse that all men were living under. And he had this opportunity that he could not pass up. It's like, you could kill the Son of God. And he did it. And it was his own destruction. It was the destruction of death.
Amen and praise God.
It was the destruction of everything. He could not stop himself. And he didn't learn. Because he then went and did it to the martyrs. He did it to Stephen.
Yeah.
He did it to Paul, who he got to do it to Stephen.
It's like, how many of the apostles?
And the fact is, death has been beaten. It's done. And the resurrection is real.
That's why Charlie Kirk is alive now. You know? I mean, it's like, he's not down.
You look at the mistakes, and the mistakes continue to the current moment. And in the end, those people who become truly devilish, the ones who are the most ghoulish, the most immoral, the ones who are posting memes of little girls with blood all over their face, being like Charlie Kirk's daughter, ha ha ha. Like those people, those devilish people, unfortunately for them, it comes with a level of self-destructive irrationality that cannot win. It not only is it grotesque and evil and immoral, but it has all of the sophistication of the pigs running off a cliff into the water.
Yeah.
It's like we got control of these pigs, says Legion, and then suicides the pigs. Like when you are taken over by this kind of devilish resentment, you can't even see that for you to change the rules of engagement like this is going to destroy you. It's your own destruction. You're just a demon-possessed pig going off a cliff. And that's the level of their sophistication. And so when they get consumed with hate, consumed with resentment, they are the easiest to defeat.
Yeah.
Because they do things like this that are evil, they're immoral, and it's like plugging Charlie Kirk into an amplifier.
37,000.
They took one dude playing an acoustic, taking an acoustic guitar, playing a set on a college campus, and they plugged him in and streamed him to the world. It's like with one shot. And it does not work. When you get so consumed with hate that you send Christ to the cross, it doesn't work. It has the opposite effect. It puts him in charge of everything. Like he inherits everything. And it happened for St. Stephen. It happened for Paul. It happened for all the martyrs through the history of the church. People who are unafraid of death itself. Death itself is an enemy that has been defeated.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can possibly do to them is send them home. You can really wound the people who are left behind,
right?
Because they'll miss the lost one. But Charlie, he's fine.
Yeah, better than.
Better than. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact is, he lived like a guy who was on the clock. I mean, the thing that amazed me the most about him is like, I feel exhausted with my schedule. Mm-hmm. I look at his schedule and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Well, see, I hadn't heard him until he came out here in April.
Yeah.
And I think he was on Bill Maher the night before us. He came out, did hours at the Wazoo campus, came over and did a ManRampant episode with Doug.
Yep.
Left right afterward and then was on a podcast with Posobiec that night.
And was on his game.
Right.
For all of those things.
All
so
of those.
His appearance at Washington State University right before he came on ManRampant, and you should watch the entire episode, the entire interview of Charlie Kirk and my father.
Yeah, I'll link that and we'll put some of it available.
Which is fantastic.
Put it everywhere to watch.
But he also had a conversation with a girl who was a trans, trying to be a dude, at Washington State, and that clip itself is really powerful.
Okay.
In that his kindness is so apparent, like his heart for the person to whom he's talking. He's not trying to crush her. He's not trying to hurt her. He's trying to gift her with the truth that will be transformative in her life. And he's doing it really, really effectively. And he was doing that. He's running that schedule like mad. And I think the only reason why he could is because he kept a really hard Sabbath. So he did it Friday to Saturday night. I keep a Saturday night to Sunday night Sabbath. But at 6 p.m., I put my pencil down on Saturday night. I will not touch a thing. It's just rest. And I'll start Sunday night after 6 p.m. I could be working till 3 a.m. Sunday night, but I will take 24 hours and just stop. And just completely stop and rest. And I think that rhythm is essential. And he did the same thing from Friday to Saturday night. Put his phone away, was unreachable. Like he went 24 hours, no phone, which makes a lot of sense for a guy as busy as he was.
Right.
But I think that the picture of...
Yeah, what you said about a guy acting like a guy who's, he really was trying to do the death by living thing.
Yeah.
Like, let's squeeze every bit out of this time that I have. And the fact that he's 5 years younger than me and it's over, it's like, what a race. Like, way to go, Charlie.
Yeah, it's like wow.
Way to go, dude.
Yeah, no,
what a story.
It's pretty incredible. And it's the impact is incredible. The faithfulness is incredible. The fruit is incredible. And that's... that belongs to the Spirit.
Yeah, praise God. Yeah.
When you look at this and you look at a guy who worked this way, pushing this way, did it from a Protestant Orthodox place, understood economics and math, politically was still kind of a centrist.
Yep.
Like he was very much a pragmatist and a centrist, and that should be terrifying for all of the gooey centrists. Now, Charlie was pragmatic in that he was trying to form political alliances that could defeat progressivism in just the political sphere, but all the gooey centrists, like Charlie just got shot.
You're there.
I mean, it's like that's it. Have his kids done awful things? Like, are they espousing crazy right-wing things? No, they're just kids, and people are calling for their death and celebrating the murder of their father.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we are.
Yeah, and furious at his wife for her courage that she demonstrated.
She's worse. She looks wicked. Screen grab.
Yep. Yep. How could she be so? Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's insane. It's pigs running off a cliff.
Right.
So you look at all the people who are not demon possessed, all the people who are not total trolls and ghouls. Look at that, and they're like, oh my gosh, like they're recoiling towards Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
All of them are recoiling towards the dude they just tried to silence. And once again, this level of hate and resentment cannot play chess dispassionately. The devil is extremely clever. The powers of darkness are, very, very clever. Read Screwtape Letters, read The Great Divorce. Lewis knew what he was talking about. There's all of this cleverness, but then there's this hate and this resentment and loathing that cannot be controlled. And in the end, he cannot help himself, nor can any of his followers. They will just murder, even though it's their own destruction.
Yeah.
And they did it at the cross, and they've done it with many, many martyrs since. And in doing this, you they really, really backfired something on themselves. If they'd wanted to mute Charlie's influence, they should have sent their best. They should have started setting up their own card tables. They should have started like waging conflict in that sphere with him and trying to like take other influence on campuses. But instead, this dude shoots him.
Yeah.
Proving him right under the prove me wrong banner. Charlie's proven right. And everybody sane knows it.
Yeah. Self-immolation for the bad guys. Just
everybody sane knows it, and everybody else who are just consumed with hatred and this demonic loathing, they're just all pigs running off the cliff at this point. And they're, what on earth are you thinking, Secret Service member, on social media about this? What on earth are you thinking? They're not thinking.
Yeah.
This is not a rational chessboard move. This is that self-destruction, the suicide of the devils that can take control of you and just destroy you because you are full of hate.
It reminds me, the very last thing Charlie said out here on the ManRampant episode was about that, of just, you can tell a person, the right kind of person, by who their enemies are and who is trying to persecute them. So that's kind of the quick test. And that right now, it's apparent to everybody, where you can see the two sides, and one side is, making tiny statues of him shot. And the other side is mourning and at the same time reinvigorated to not give up, like winning a battle. Like the other side is winning a battle while having lost Charlie himself.
Yeah. And the resolve you see in Erica, the resolve you see in everybody around him, the fact that the vice president was walking his coffin and filling in for him on his show. It's like, oh man, one of the amazingly beautiful things that was achieved here was there was this steering that was happening in conservatism towards a godless secular right. Mm-hmm. Like all these people who were okay at math, like Elon, were like, okay, I'm a conservative now.
Right.
But very godless. I'm also going to have, a whole compound of babies from random baby mamas and do all this other stuff.
And then push AI bots.
Yeah, AI. Yeah. I'm doing this horrible stuff on AI and every other thing, but it's this godlessness. But it's still, I'm good at math, so I'm conservative now. There is this godless influence coming into conservatism. And this just ends that.
The godless part of it.
Yeah, it's over. It's done. It's center of conservatism is an evangelical gospel.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if it's Tulsi Gabbard. It doesn't matter who's getting up. Doesn't matter if it's the White House Twitter account. It was Charlie. And so Charlie's voice and Charlie's approach has been adopted as authoritative, as the authoritative center of the right wing.
Yeah,
and that authoritative center is the presentation of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Right. That's the clip the White House chose for his, tribute to Charlie, was him preaching the gospel. Jesus died for our sins.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is, it's like a trick shot. It's another blessing from God that's one of the benefits here.
This is just touching on this. You mentioned Charlie as an evangelist, which isn't what he gets called.
That's what he was, yeah.
But it's what he was. And it's interesting that Christianity Today, founded by Billy Graham.
Right.
In their bio called him a MAGA operator.
Yeah.
Perhaps reached the most people with the gospel news.
Yep.
And they're missing
they want to talk about that part because that's a voluntary thing that people wouldn't be included in among Christians.
Sure.
But a Christian brother who was murdered for his faith and for proclaiming his faith boldly, they couldn't do that.
Right.
Because then all their leftist progressives, the grant givers and everybody else who's behind CT would be offended.
Well, I love to.
And if you're like Charlie, you don't mind if you say the truth and people are offended. But if you're like CT, you got to wuss out about everything. It's the rule that you have to just wuss out.
They started it died. Like that's what they said, died Charlie Kirk, rather than assassinated, shot.
Yeah.
Murdered.
There's CT. It's like you want to talk. CT, they're like an evangelical dude in drag who's like trying to say, I'm not really trans. I'm just trying to witness to the trans. That's CT. How are you going to witness to the trans? By going in drag.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. Like,
strategy.
And
strategery.
Unfortunately, the title Christianity Today, at least Christianity Today in mainline America, that's fair enough. So yeah, this is it's a massive moment, but the fact is that what everybody discovered on the right wing was that Charlie Kirk is their superior.
Yeah.
That's what we all just learned. It's like,
Yep.
oh wow, he is our better. He is our superior. He's a better man. He's a better Christian. I don't care if he puts different answers on the test. He just proved it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you think, all right, I want to finish my race like Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like everybody. It just has it
Go
up there.
harder. Go
Yeah.
harder. Go
Yep.
harder. Like, so it's great that he's not this thrice divorced, wreck of a person. He's a faithful father, faithful husband, a great testimony, and then a very, very masculine debater, in all these conversations. He's all of those things. And so, yeah, there is inspiration. You see him graduate like this. You see his promotion like this. And it's like, well, maybe 3 months ago, I would have argued with him about something. We could have argued about tactics.
Yep.
I could have said, I don't know about that. I don't know that I would like team up with this guy or that guy or whatever. But ultimately right now, it's like, well,
right.
Salute. And that's it. He's our superior.
I mean, and he was so humble too. I remember him picking your dad's brain as another apologist on Bill Maher, specifically how to talk to someone like Bill. And Charlie was all ears. Like, I think I could have done that better. How would you have
he
done
did
it?
a great job.
Yeah.
He did do a good job. But
yeah.
The level of promotion here for him is and for his kids and for his wife is brutally difficult. And yet it is not the tragedy of a guy who stormed out the door mad, had been a faithful husband for a while, had too much to drink and wrapped his car around a telephone pole. It's like, no, it is a consistent, solid gold testimony to his own children, to his wife.
Of a dad who died for his family.
Yeah, for his country, for his faith, for his family. It's pretty glistening. I mean, it's just a glistening, solid gold testimony.
Looking forward, do you see this having MLK-esque / 9/11-esque type turning point for our generation?
Yep, I really do.
I mean, the fact that his organization
I think this will
Point.
still have an impact on people when people have forgotten that it even had an impact on anything. This will still be impacting because it will touch lives. It will touch people who convert because of this right now, whose children and grandchildren are faithful and are achieving things because of this. And they won't ever really know that this was the day that it turned.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it'll continue to impact for a very, very long time. And I think ultimately one of the things that matters so much is when people say like, man, I want to live like Charlie. I want to be like Charlie. Great. But understand what made him powerful. Understand what made him so good and what made him golden was his faithfulness. Was his faithfulness to his wife, to his kids. He could have betrayed everything right there. If he got married and divorced and remarried and divorced, if he was a bad dad, an abdicating father, and we didn't see him loving his family the way he loved his family, it gives the lie to everything else. Being faithful and being faithful in one direction over time. I've seen this already in my own life. The faithfulness of my grandfather, the faithfulness of my father lived in one direction over time. Has a massive impact. This is a guy with a card table. He was faithful with a card table on a campus. And this is where his impact went. So you overwhelmingly, for everybody listening, the stuff that you can do is you can stop being such a jerk. You can stop being a complainer. You can stop being a whiner. You can start working on refining your character by God's grace. Like repenting of your stupid, petty sins and being more faithful in your relationships and in the things, the rakes and the rocks that God, puts in front of you. Because if you are faithful as a mom, as a son, as a dad, in one direction, year after year after year, and you continue to improve in your faithfulness and improve in your wisdom and continue to just bang on that wall over and over and over again, the downstream consequences are massive. And part of that is like, I think about the impact that I have and the stuff that I've been able to do. And I want to multiply that. I want to increase that. Like I want that to magnify, but I know that there is nothing more important than the 5 kids I have and investing in those relationships and in those people, because real immortal souls, permanent existing beings made in the image of God, is way more important than book sales or how many people watch my movie. Like way more important. And so investing in your kids, investing in your relationships, and holding yourself to a really high standard such that when you're wrong, you say you're wrong. When you've done wrong, you repent of that wrong and apologize to people, make it right, and continue to be refined moving forward. Anything else, any kind of protection of those things, makes you vulnerable to the people who would love to use you to reproduce their own ranks because they can't themselves. They want your kids, they want you, they want your bitterness, your resentment to pull you away from the hard, faithful, straight and narrow road, and to pull you off over there where you're full of resentment and envy and hate, and your kids are wearing furry hats. Like,
well, it's crazy how that sexual sin gets used by the devil to just flip. You know, it's that thing that gets into you, and then you all of a sudden are in a lever that gets you to go wherever you want, up till you're shooting a guy.
Yeah.
You know, you're shooting an enemy in the neck for what he said.
I was just writing narration about cordyceps fungus. You know,
the zombie fungus.
Yeah. A single spore lands on an insect, worms through its exoskeleton, and then takes over its brain and makes it a zombie. And like
it goes up as high as it can,
makes
right?
it climb up high so that it can spread the spores more, grows fungus out of its body to tie it on so it won't fall when it dies, then kills it, consumes it, then sticks out its fungal structure to spread spores and sends all the spores around. The place where I've talked about the devil's lack of strategy earlier, the place where he is extremely clever is in getting those little levers.
The single spore inside the exoskeleton.
Yep.
Yeah.
A 19-year-old with a masturbation problem. He can think all he wants, that he wants to be like Charlie. Like, but there's this lever. You know, the husband with the porn problem, the wife with the complaining problem, you know, self-absorption, selfishness on anybody's part, anywhere, is enough of a lever to steer you towards damnation and towards the wrong side. Now, in these moments when somebody is faithful and they give the devil no lever, and they are on that straight and narrow, and they are impactful, and they are faithful, that's when the rationality leaves and the haters just want to kill them.
I mean, I think rhetorically that's ethos, right? Because your argument is with their character.
Yeah.
You can't argue out of a character. Like that's true or not.
Exactly. So the fact is, the devil wants you dead. And he would much prefer to do it by means of lust and laziness and abdication than to do it with a bullet like he did with Charlie. But he will do it with a bullet, and he would much prefer to have it just be all the simple things, the loss of self-control, anger. So a guy with an anger problem, any kind of lack of self-control, any kind of place where the flesh rules you needs to be mortified, given to Christ, and sanctified. It's like you have to do that, or else you're done.
David,
you want to be the kind of people that they have to kill with a bullet, not the kind of person that they kill with OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, most of them are going to be pulled in. So how does the wild left godless progressivism reproduce itself? By corrupting us, by corrupting the faithful, by pulling people over. And it will do that by means of lust, envy, greed, selfishness, anything it can get its hooks into you by means of pulling you over there. It just doesn't have to be that way. So when people say, I want to live like Charlie, great. If you've got problems in yourself, that doesn't mean take a card table and go off to campus. Like it means first getting right with God, you know, and getting really, really solid and stable there before you take the show on the road. Don't try to take the show on the road before you're raking the rocks faithfully in your own life.
David talks about, cleanse me from secret faults and then keep me from presumptuous sins. I think that's a
David,
binary
who had committed presumptuous sins knew the road of how he got there.
Yeah, start with little tiny secret ones, and we get to the big ones.
And I protect those things, and they grow, and then pretty soon I'm murdering somebody and committing adultery. Yeah. So, it's wild. I think that this is a profoundly amazing moment. It's striking. Obviously, grieve for Erica and for the kids, and at the same time, what a blessing. And I don't mean the murder of Charlie. I mean the gift of Charlie. Mm-hmm. That includes how he lived to the point of death. So for them, was it 4 years of marriage? Something.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 4 years of marriage is, to a faithful, godly man like that, is much better than 40 years to some just kind of like low grade, barely there, conservative, passive dude.
Yeah.
So what a fantastic guy. What a stellar witness. So we'll see when people try to live like him, like start at the bottom, start at kindergarten, like
sure,
rake the rocks, be faithful. And then yes, work ethic, drive, self-control, lack of loathing for your opponents while still saying the thing directly into their eyeballs that's going to make them want to kill you.
And Charlie had 13 years, right, of when he started?
Yep.
So Lord willing, a lot of us have 13 years left. So
yeah. So if a bunch of people decide to be as impactful as Charlie over the next 13 years, it'll be just exponential.
Amen.
And it'll be hard, but I'm here for it. It's going to be amazing to watch.
There we go.
And thank God for Charlie Kirk.
Blessed are those who are persecuted. And so, look, being persecuted is a blessing. I think the pastor might agree with this. If you aren't currently being condemned, death threats, being trying to run out of town, you're not fighting hard enough. I mean that. I mean, look, you got to be boundary pushing. You have to be trying to, you could tell a lot of a man based on the enemies that you earn. So just look, in James 1, it talks all about the blessed persecution. Jesus talked about it as well. And so just take heart in the Lord, and it'll make you a stronger believer and Christian.
Yeah. Be bold, confess the faith, stand up for what you believe.